Yo, crime fam, what's good? Welcome back to Crime Time with Crime Psychology. Today, we're diving into a case that's equal parts heartbreaking and horrifying, like a teen romance gone full horror movie. This is the story of Morgan Leppert, a 15-year-old who traded her future for a toxic boyfriend and left a trail of devastation. But before we start, I want to take a moment to honor James Stewart, the victim of this tragedy, a man whose life was stolen in the most brutal way. His story deserves our respect, and we'll carry that with us. Alright, grab your snacks, hit that like button, and let's unpack this wild, tragic ride. It's 2008 in Melrose, Florida, a tiny town where the biggest news is who's got the best pie at the diner. Enter Morgan Leppert, a 14-year-old with big dreams and zero filter. She's your typical teen, probably updating her MySpace status with song lyrics and doodling in her notebook, but Morgan's itching to break free from this sleepy town, chasing something bigger, something more. Then she meets Toby Lee Lowry. This guy's 22, giving off "I sell vapes at a gas station" vibes, with a criminal record longer than a TikTok trends list. Morgan's like, he's my soulmate. Spoiler, he's more like a one-man red flag parade. But she's hooked, convincing her mom to let Toby move in with them. Imagine your mom going, "Sure, the sketchy 22-year-old can bunk with us." Like what? By 15, Morgan's all in, seeing Toby as her ticket out of Melrose. Let's get into Morgan's head. At 14, her brain's like a half-finished puzzle. Pieces scattered, no picture yet. The prefrontal cortex, the part that says this dude's bad news, is still in the shop. Teens are wired to chase validation, and Toby's serving up this fantasy of love and adventure. Psychologists call it romantic idealization, when you slap a halo on someone who's more devil than angel. Morgan's not just crushing, she's betting her whole future on Toby, and that's where this story starts to spiral. April 8th, 2008, Morgan and Toby hatch a plan to steal a pickup truck and ditch Melrose for good. Their target? James Stewart, a 66-year-old disabled man who was a pillar of strength in his community. Born without hands, James lived with courage and independence, inspiring everyone around him. He was the kind of person who'd offer you a smile and a story, not an ounce of bitterness in him. James deserved every moment of peace he'd earned, and it breaks my heart that Morgan and Toby took that from him. Their plan's supposed to be simple: grab the truck, hit the road, live their twisted love story. But it turns into a nightmare. They beat James with metal rods over and over, stab him multiple times, and then suffocate him with a plastic bag. This wasn't just a crime, it was an act of unimaginable cruelty. James was attacked in 3 brutal ways: beaten, stabbed, suffocated, his life stolen in his own home. Police find the scene days later, and it's chilling. Blood-soaked rods, a bloody shoe print, and Morgan's cell phone linked to James's landline. Rookie mistake, Morgan. Your phone's practically confessing for you. 6 days later, cops catch her and Toby in Texas, cruising in James's stolen truck like they're on a cross-country vlog. Day 6, crime spree. Yeah, no. Now the confessions. Toby's pointing fingers like, Morgan smashed his face with a pipe. Morgan's like, I just poked him with a knife, it didn't go through. Girl, you admitted to putting a bag over his head. You're not winning any innocence awards. But here's the kicker. Morgan says she did it all for Toby. I loved him so much, I couldn't leave him. Psychologically, Morgan's in deep. At 15, her brain's all about loyalty, not logic. Studies show teens' reward centers go wild for love. It's like a dopamine jackpot. Toby's got her on a leash, maybe even threatening her. She says she was scared he'd hurt her if she didn't go along. Is that real, or is she dodging blame? Either way, her brain's yelling, keep Toby happy, while the part that says this is wrong is still buffering. But nothing justifies what they did to James. It's 2009 and Morgan's 16, facing trial as an adult. The courtroom's a mess of emotions. Morgan's sobbing as her confession plays like a true crime Spotify playlist. The prosecution's painting her as a teenage crime lord, like she's plotting heists from her glittery diary. They're like, she manipulated her mom at 14, she masterminded this. Her lawyer's countering, she's a kid, Toby pulled the strings. I'm side-eyeing Toby hard, but the jury's buying the prosecution's story. After just 90 minutes, shorter than a Marvel movie, they convict Morgan of first-degree murder, burglary, and robbery. Judge Ed Hedstrom lays it down. Life without parole. Same as Toby, who snitched to avoid the death penalty. Morgan's 16, no priors, and now she's staring at a lifetime behind bars. Meanwhile, James's family is grieving a man who was their rock, their inspiration. Their pain hangs over every moment of this trial. What's going on in Morgan's head? At 16, she's starting to grasp the weight of her actions. Her tears aren't just about fear, it's her brain playing catch-up. Psychologists say teens can't fully process long-term consequences. 50 years in prison is just a vague nightmare. Morgan's stuck on losing Toby and her freedom, still tangled in that love story she thought she was living. Her confession about loving Toby shows she's holding on to that fantasy, but the courtroom's shattering it. She's a kid facing a grown-up punishment, and it's crushing. By 2016, Morgan's 23, locked up at Florida Women's Reception Center, not a resort, despite the name. She's been there since she was Florida's youngest female inmate. But a big shift happens. The Supreme Court's 2012 Miller v. Alabama ruling says mandatory life without parole for kids is unconstitutional. Morgan gets a resentencing hearing, a chance to show she's more than her worst mistake. She stands up, a grown woman now, and says, "I'm so sorry, James's family. Toby was a monster who stole my life." She reflects, "I was so naive at 15, I didn't know right from wrong." Her lawyer argues she was a lovesick teen under Toby's control. The prosecutor pushes back, saying Morgan was calling the shots, citing a hitchhiker who saw her bossing Toby around. Okay, maybe she wasn't totally helpless. Judge Patty Christensen hears it all but holds firm. Morgan's intent to kill means life in prison, but with parole eligibility in 2034, Morgan's in her 30s now, likely counting the days to that hearing, hoping to prove she's not that reckless girl anymore. But no matter what, nothing can undo the loss of James Stewart, whose light was extinguished far too soon. Psychologically, Morgan's grown up. At 23, her brain's more wired for reflection. Her apology feels genuine. She's not just gaming the system. Brain science says your 20s bring sharper empathy and regret. And Morgan's feeling that, she looks back at 15-year-old her like, why did I do that? Her talk of suicide if she never gets out shows the weight of her guilt and despair. But her good behavior in prison, that's a spark of hope, a sign she might be redeemable. Still, James's absence looms large. No redemption can bring him back. So why does a 15-year-old go from puppy love to murder? Let's dig into the psych. Morgan's brain at 15 is like a car with no brakes, full throttle, no control. The prefrontal cortex, which handles impulse control and moral reasoning, is still half-baked. Teens chase rewards like Toby's affection and ignore risks like a life sentence. Brilliant strategy, Morgan. Toby's the puppet master here. He's 22 with that bad boy charm and likely knew how to play her. Morgan says she feared he'd hurt her if she didn't go along. Psychologists call this coercive control, using love or fear to trap someone. Her confession screams dependency. I loved him so much I couldn't leave. Y'all, that's not love. That's a toxic trap. Was she a follower or a planner? Juror Tommy Montero says, she's a conniver, she knew what she was doing. The crime's brutality backs him up. Morgan had chances to walk away, but her confession paints her as Toby's shadow, not the leader. Truth's messy. She was a lovesick teen, scared of losing Toby, with a brain too young to hit pause. But let's be clear, her choices helped end James's life. And that's a wound that never heals. We need to pause for James Stewart. This man was a beacon of resilience, living with grace despite his disability. He touched lives with his strength and kindness, and his loss is a tragedy that echoes through his family and community. To James's loved ones, your pain is unimaginable, and we hold you in our hearts. James, your spirit deserved to shine on, and we honor you today and always. What do we take from Morgan Leppert's story? It's a heartbreaking clash of bad choices, a half-formed brain, and a love that was anything but. Morgan was 15, caught in Toby's web, but she still chose to act. Choices that stole James Stewart's life. Her original sentence, life without parole, was like slamming the door on a kid. The 2016 resentencing with parole possible in 2034 offers a sliver of hope, but it can't erase the pain left behind. This case forces us to grapple with tough questions. How much blame does a teen deserve for something this awful? Morgan was young, manipulated, and in over her head, but she's not innocent. True crime lives in that gray space, where guilt and redemption collide. Can Morgan rebuild herself, or is she forever tied to that 15-year-old mistake? And above all, how do we honor James, whose life was worth so much more than this tragedy? Alright, crime fam, it's your turn. Was Morgan a victim of Toby's control, or did she know what she was doing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk it out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more true crime stories. And maybe steer clear of anyone who's like, let's rob someone for date night. Rest in peace, James Stewart. You're not forgotten. Stay curious, stay safe, and chi waikwan. It's charcundi word, yarrow a link to Sturbury, ikis us this time seas. Distance outs. D.